he's going to start losing hope that his biting is not working. But what I'll do is I'll just move him a little bit, and then I'll go down here and put hands on him, put him in this down position. But once he's in this position, I'm not putting any more force on him unless he tries to get up. And a lot of times the dogs will they'll pee or defecate themselves in this position because they'll still feel very nervous that they're still being attacked. But you want them to understand, like, hey, I'm just getting you in this position, and then we're going to move out of it. Like, I'm not going to hurt you when you're in this position, and then I'm just going to repeat that process. There was a Rottweiler puppy that I had that was like 4 months old, and it took, 2, 3, 4 days of doing this, but then I could go up and touch him, no problem. And literally, that's the only thing I've worked on.
Now, from what I understand, that guy took that video down because he was getting a ton of heat for it. And, I mean, do I really... if you watch that, I think to myself, do I really need to point out, how ridiculous that whole thing was? Like, did that not... Like, when you watch a guy who sits in front of a set of dog owners and goes over a methodology that entails inducing the type of fear that is going to cause a dog to defecate themselves. I'm sure you guys watched that video and thought the same exact thing I did. Like, how uncomfortable was that to watch? And then here's the thing that comes to my mind. These people are probably watching that, and inside they feel horrified. But they're hearing it come from a guy that they've likely paid a lot of money to. Okay, so it's almost like they're forcing themselves to be okay with it. And even worse, maybe the people are like, oh yeah, that's how you do it, huh? I pride myself on being like a relationship-focused trainer. And I think first and foremost, the thing that I do, my strategy, is taking my time to develop a relationship based off of trust. What part of physically manhandling a little dog that's in an extraordinarily conflicted space, what part of adding 50 times more conflict to a dog that he doesn't even know in front of their owners screams relationship focus to you? I mean, it's baffling. And I'm bringing this to you guys because I always kind of like cringe when I see dog trainers talking about other dog trainers. And a lot of the time, it's because they're jealous of each other and it's just this childish high school back and forth shit. You guys have heard me talk about this before. But this is ridiculous, right? Like that's insane to me. And he thought it was, not only does he think it's a good strategy to ruin any potential relationship that he had with the dog to begin with, make a situation 50 times worse than it already is, produce what we call learned helplessness. That's what that dog was doing. He was learning to become helpless. That's not the way that I teach my dogs. That's not the way that I'll ever teach my dogs. And this is my main beef with Cesar Millan, because that's a Cesar Millan strategy. It's called the alpha role. And I was just talking to a client about this the other day, because you hear this a lot. You have to be the alpha. You have to alpha them. No, you don't. No, you don't. You have to teach them. You have to teach them sufficiently. You have to teach them with love, tolerance, and understanding and patience. Sure, you could alpha roll. Sure, you could be the alpha, which to me, the term alpha is just like indicative of like being a bully. Like, you want to be a bully to your dog? You want your dog to listen because they're afraid of you? I've talked about this all the time. There's a difference between teaching the most you possibly can without conflict and actually physically forcing a dog to do something they're not ready to do yet. It's lazy, it's talentless, and quite frankly, it's pathetic. And unfortunately, for the most part, you do see a lot of this come from the older dinosaurs of the game because they just haven't realized that this industry has... it's a progressive industry. It's an industry that a lot of new methodologies have come about in the last 10 to 15 years, and they're just not willing to adapt and to adjust. They're just set in their ways. You know, the phrase, can't teach an old dog new tricks, comes to mind. Of the literal sense, of course you can. You can teach an old dog new tricks. But can you teach an old shit cunt human being new tricks? I don't know. Maybe not in this particular... Because what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? All that to say, that's not how you do it. That's not how we do it. That's not how we're ever going to do it. So if you get nothing else from this video, Exhibit A. How not to do it.